They're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. They were going to attack first. They attempted to rebuild their nuclear program. This was our last best chance to strike. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
Why is the U.S. at war with Iran?
The administration has failed to provide any justification for these preemptive strikes.
Trump did not present us with any evidence that there was an imminent threat of a strike on the American homeland.
We have had now 4 different explanations of what our goals are.
He has no strategy. He has no end game.
America's goals in Iran are confusing, to say the least. The Trump administration initially said,
"Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime."
But Pentagon officials later walked that back, saying Iran was not planning to strike U.S. forces or bases in the region unless Israel attacked first. So they changed tack.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them, we would suffer higher casualties.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had spent months convincing Trump to join a war on Iran. But it's unclear what their end goal is and whether they're currently on track to achieve it. President Trump initially began with a long list of grievances against Iran's government.
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America. And Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
But even as Ali Khamenei and dozens of senior Iranian leaders were killed, Iran continued to escalate, firing at U.S. allies and disrupting global energy supplies. The U.S. administration has since toned down its messaging on regime change and focused on 4 key demands. First, Iran's nuclear program. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff claimed that Iran's nuclear enrichment had reached dangerous levels.
They're probably a week away from industrial-grade bomb-making material.
But U.S. officials and weapons inspectors pushed back, saying that last June's strikes badly damaged Iran's nuclear sites and that most of its highly enriched uranium is still buried underground at Isfahan. Digging it out and turning it into a warhead would take months, if not over a year, and there's little evidence of Iran doing that yet. Second was Iran's ballistic missile program.
Long-range missiles that could soon reach the American homeland.
But a report by Trump's Defense Intelligence Agency last year concluded that Iran didn't have missiles capable of reaching the U.S. Iran has focused on stockpiling short and medium-range missiles to fire at regional targets if attacked. They've been heavily bombed by the U.S. and Israel in recent days, but they still have enough to keep firing and potentially to outlast Western interceptors. Third was Iran's network of allied militias across the region. But these aren't what they once used to be. Hezbollah has lost much of its former power in Lebanon's political system. It only entered the war at Iran's request, firing a grand total of 6 rockets at Israel. Fourth was Iran's repression at home, but it's unclear that that's a huge priority for the U.S. Officials aren't necessarily looking for a wholesale collapse that might bring a democratic transition, but instead for an Iranian Delcy Rodriguez, referring to Trump's seizure of Venezuela's President Maduro and replacement with his Vice President Rodriguez in January. They hope that a pragmatic faction of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, might offer to give up Iran's nuclear program and support for regional militias in return for continued political authority and control of Iran's economy. But the IRGC aren't just a military alternative to Iran's authorities. They are those authorities, and it's not clear that the pragmatic faction the US hopes for would prevail over hardliners in any power transition.
I guess the worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen.
Trump's confidence pushed him into a war that the US did not need. Recent polls suggest that about 60% of Americans disapprove of that war. If he cannot find a clear way out of it soon, they may punish him for that choice at the polls this November.